Standing in front of the mirror, a young girl stared at her reflection, quietly wondering, am I good enough? Will I ever be good enough? Like many other teenagers, she carried the weight of family tension, loneliness, and the pressure to belong. But today felt a little different. There was a spark in her heart, feeling of hope. For once, she wasn't thinking about the arguments or the silent dinners at home. She was excited. She was blooming. A party invitation and a chance to fit in. A moment that might finally make her feel like she was a part of something, like she mattered. With a shy smile and a heart pounding like a drum beat, she made her way to the Craigflower Bridge, imagining laughter, friendship, and acceptance waiting on the other side. But what she didn't know was that beneath the surface of that night's promise, something dark was waiting. Not kindness, not belonging, but betrayal. Betrayal wearing the face of friendship. What was meant to be a night of inclusion would become one of the most horrific acts of violence our nation has ever seen. This is True Crime and More, and today you'll be listening to the tragic story of Reena Virk. Reena was born on March 10, 1983, in Victoria, British Columbia. Her father Manjit and her mother Suman are from an Indo-Canadian family who had converted from Sikhism to Jehovah's Witnesses. As the media coverage would later put it, the family stood out. They were a minority within a minority. Like many parents, Reena's parents held strict standards for Reena, rooted mainly in their religious discipline. Reena was the firstborn of the three kids. She had dark curly hair and was known to be outgoing, social, and loved animals. While she craved to fit in, she stood out in the mostly white population. She was self-conscious about her appearance, and it didn't help that other girls at Shoreline School constantly bullied her for her appearance. Like many other immigrant children, Reena Virk was a teenager caught between two worlds. Born to a family of Jehovah's Witnesses while being of the South Asian descent, an identity that sometimes made her feel like an outsider. While she appeared to be confident outside, at her home, her insecurities became a big issue. In order to fit in, she started wearing bandanas, gang-related t-shirts, and admiring the hip-hop style. While the insecurities and rebellious teens are a common aspect of any teenager's early years, Reena's behavior would result in a tragedy that would shock everyone. Reena hated her parents for setting a tight curfew and strict home rules. She would often compare her life with the kids who hung out all the times, were free to smoke and drink whenever they wanted. What she didn't realize was that most of these kids were either part of foster care or were homeless. She wanted to stay out more, drink more, party more, and she wanted to fit in with the other kids. Eventually, Reena rebelled. And as a result, to keep her safe, her parents decided to ground her for the first time. And in response, she ran away from home. Eventually, Reena decided that she wanted to move out. She reported abuse and sexual assault against her father and attempted suicide in hopes that she would be placed in foster care for more freedom like the other kids. Eventually, she was successful and was placed in foster care. However, she soon realized foster care was not what she thought it would be. In 1997, she recanted the allegations against her father and asked to return home. Her parents couldn't be happier and immediately took her back. Her parents' happiness, however, wouldn't last too long, as Reena decided to move to a youth shelter just a month later. Feeling misunderstood at home, Reena was constantly drawn to the freedom she heard about from other teenagers. The youth she met at foster homes and shelters often talked about group homes. They said group homes were kind of a escape, places with no rules, no curfews, and a constant party atmosphere. This promise of a life without constraints was incredibly appealing to Reena. She eventually entered a group home, and soon after, she started partying, smoking, and drinking alcohol. And this is when things would take a dark turn. It was November 14, 1997, when some 14 and 15-year-old girls told Reena to come to a party later that night. When she got to the party, there were already about 20 to 30 teenagers, and because it was a large group of teenagers drinking and smoking, the party quickly got out of hand. And due to some complaints, the group eventually disbanded. Reena then went to the convenience store nearby and called her parents. And she let them know that she won't be going to the group home for the night and she'll come home instead. Her parents' home was closer to her than the group home, and she let them know that she'll be there in about 20 minutes. At midnight, her parents were still waiting for their daughter to show up. They then decided to call the group home, and the group home advised them that Reena was not seen there for about 24 hours. And as a result, the group home called the police immediately. However, the police could not take any action for 48 hours. Her parents then took the matters into their own hands and started calling her friends. One of the friends told her parents that Reena was supposed to meet her at Walmart, but she never showed up. Another friend told them that Reena was seen at the bridge last. The following school day, rumors started going around at the school very quickly. Rumor was that there was an assault that had taken place at the bridge, and one of the students was heard bragging that she was responsible for the assault and it involved Reena, and she was also heard saying that Reena is never coming back to school. Once the rumors made their way back to the parents let the police know right away. Now, when the investigation started, no one actually came forth with any information. But it would only be about 4 more days until a resident from the group home would come forward to the police. She told the police that the attack was actually pre-planned. Other kids were asked to meet before Reena to take some sort of revenge for what Reena had allegedly done. At this point, the investigation was no longer just a missing persons investigation. It was a criminal case. Based on different accounts, the following took place that fateful night. Reena was invited to a party, and when she showed up, Reena went to the bridge with 2 girls who linked arms with her. The bridge was dark and creepy. When Reena arrived, there was a group of 20 people waiting for them. It was said that a semicircle was formed around Reena, and she was accused of flirting with someone else's boyfriend. Another girl, Nicole Cook, said that Reena stole her phone book and had been calling other girls' boyfriends and flirting with them. Other rumors included accusations of fake breasts and AIDS. The attack started from one girl stamping a cigarette butt on her forehead. This was Nicole Cook. 6 other girls and 1 boy began assaulting her violently. Reena was constantly asking for help and crying out loud. However, no one stopped. After the first attack under the bridge, here's what happened next. Reena was left alone crying in her own blood and with a bloody nose. After a few minutes, she got up and started to walk. However, 2 teenagers stayed behind to keep an eye on her. One was Kelly Illard, 15 at the time, and the second was Warren Glowatsky, 16 at the time, the only male that was present in the assault. When Reena thought that she was finally safe, Kelly and Warren showed up, and they beat her further, smashed her head against a tree, and then threw her unconscious body into the gorge waterway where she drowned. Her body would be found 8 days later on November 22nd, 1997. It was soon released that the 6 teenager girls that were involved in the initial attack were Nicole Cook, Nicole Patterson, Missy Grace, Courtney Keith, Gail Ooms, and another underage person named MGP. They were all charged under youth court provisions. 3 pled guilty to assault causing bodily harm. Other 3 were convicted at trial. Sentences ranged from conditional supervision to up to 1 year in custody. In June 1999, Warren Glavotsky was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison with possibility of parole after 7 years. Warren was granted parole in June 2010. He expressed remorse, discovered his Métis heritage, participated in restorative justice, and even met and hugged Reena's parents during healing circles. The legal saga of Kelly Illard was much more complex. First convicted in 2000, her verdict was quashed in 2003 due to procedural issues. The second trial that happened in 2004 ended in a hung jury. Her third trial, in 2005, brought the same conviction of second-degree murder, which was upheld by the Supreme Court of Canada in 2009. Kelly, who later changed her name to Carrie Mary Sim, was denied parole in 2016 but granted day parole in 2017, which was extended over time. She became a mother while still under supervision. The murder of Reena Virk became a national tragedy and a wake-up call for Canadian society. It exposed the hidden world of bullying and violence amongst young people. It also forced the country to confront difficult conversations about race, as Reena was a young South Asian girl who felt caught between 2 worlds. In the wake of their daughter's death, Reena's parents, Manjit and Suman Virk, transformed their grief into a powerful force for change. They started campaigning for anti-bullying, speaking to thousands of students and parents across the country. Their advocacy helped to bring teen violence to the forefront of public debate and led to the creation of anti-bullying programs in schools across British Columbia. The story of Reena Virk remains a painful reminder of the power of peer pressure, but it's also a testament to her parents' enduring legacy, a legacy built on hope that by talking about these difficult topics, we can prevent another tragedy like Reena's from happening again. If you're interested in Reena's story and want to take a deep dive, then I encourage you to read Manjit, her father's book, named Reena, A Father's Story, that was published in 2008. His book offers a first-hand account of the struggles his family faced as immigrants in a new country, the cultural clashes that arose, and the anguish of losing their child. He details his perspective on Reena's rebellious phase and the events that led to her murder. The book is also highly critical of the social services and justice systems in BC, British Columbia, which he feels failed his daughter. There's also a television show called Under the Bridge. The case was recently adapted into a true crime limited series called Under the Bridge. It was released on Hulu and it was premiered on April 17, 2024. The series is based on 2 sources, Manjit's book, Reena, A Father's Story, and the book of the same name, Under the Bridge, written by author Rebecca Godfrey, who was a journalist that covered the case in great detail. This marks the end of the episode, and once again, thank you so much for listening.